I'll spend the better part of an hour speaking with Ismar Kolyanovich, the new burgermaster of the township of Barovia here. Before finally he sets down his tankard or flagon or whatever the fuck we're calling him now, with a resounding thud and says, I believe it is time. We shall make the introduction to Irina now, if it suits you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Very well. He stands, he tips his hat towards the three women and says, Madames, I appreciate your hospitality as always. To which they give him rather sweet but rather fake or plastic-looking smiles, and sort of giggle at his back as he passes. He sways a little bit as he makes his way towards the door, but doesn't trip or stumble. And out into the streets of Barovia he wanders. Now, as you all are preparing yourselves to set forth, Klug attempts to swipe the dream pastry off of Sir Davish. So it'll be perception for you, Sir Davish.
Oh boy.
Sleight of hand for Klug.
I already lose. Yep.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Damn.
All right, so Klug critically fails, and Sir Davish, you can describe the result of that, since it was against you and there's been a critical failure.
Oh. So as your hand goes towards my pocket, my hand, lightning reflexes as a 10 would allow, grabs your wrist, and I kneel down to go eye to eye with you, and I go, I wouldn't eat any more of that if I were you. I'll stand up, I'll take out the pie, and I'll throw it over the fence at the alleyway.
As you're stepping out into the streets?
Correct.
Right. Sweet. Okay, that's the fate of the pie. It goes squish on the ground. Do you still want it?
Kind of sulk and scowl at Sir Davish's back as I trump up the street behind him. But I leave my gutter pie in the gutter.
Okay.
I then turn to Klug and say, who knows, maybe we'll have another run-in with that woman.
I think I just straight up give her a gold ring this time.
All right. As y'all make your way back out into the streets of the township of Barovia, or the village of Barovia, you're once again greeted by the mournful sobs coming from the south. You're close enough now, you can gender them as female.
I'll lean into the Burgermaster and I'll go, those sobs, whose are they?
As you are following him past the mercantile, which you can see light from the inside, and the windows aren't boarded up, but are instead barred. The Burgermaster turns and points towards this house forward as you're walking south along the city street, and he says, Ah, yes. Mad Mary, we call her. Her daughter was lost some weeks ago. The poor woman, she's had a breakdown as a result, I'm afraid.
That is too terrible. How was her daughter lost?
Mary says she was taken through her bedroom window, but she never let the girl out of the room. It's likely she ran away of her own accord. However, in these lands, it is possible the devil Strahd had a hand in her disappearance.
A most sinister of cases, I will assure you.
The executioner goes down as you're passing the house, still moving towards the south. What would you like to do there, James?
Well, it was more of a piece together, trying to put together and see a comparison between the old woman grabbing the child's hand and seeing if there's a correlation within his thoughts, if that's a connection.
It could be. It could be. You want to ask a question of the Burgermaster, the young Burgermaster?
Yeah. Xavier looks as he's walking with his group and speaks up and asks the question, are there many missing children around these town that you know of?
He says, yes, children go missing from time to time. However, we have been suffering from missing folk here for some time now. Say the last 9 or so months, folk have been gone missing.
When was this woman selling these pies? When did she first get to this town?
Oh, Morgantha and her dream pastries? She has been doing business in this town for generations. My father never let us eat her pies when we were young, but she was here selling them nonetheless.
Yes, I am wary of her pies.
No one has ever brought charges against Morgantha. Are you saying that she is perhaps to do with some of these disappearances?
I'm only making an observation, as I had saw her in an argument dispute with a household grabbing a child's arm.
Perhaps the child attempted to steal a pie.
Whenever she noticed my presence, she immediately let go and went about her day. She looked rather distraught about not successfully completing what she was doing.
His opinion seems sound to me.
Says, he looks to you, Alkier, and nods, and then back to you, Javier, and says, nonetheless, perhaps this is worth looking into. I will have words with Morgantha when next I see her. You can be assured.
Excellent, darling.
Did it seem like she saw you quite clearly then, Xavier?
Well, things happened in a way to where she was alerted out of my control down the road, and she happened to turn towards me and see where I was coming from.
How far was it?
A block.
So you say you used the word alert specifically, and it was a block away. The woman who could barely see when we first met her noticed you a block away in an alert manner? That is highly suspicious.
So insightful of you with your wonderful wisdom there, sir. No rolls. No rolls.
As Stewie would say, oh, clap, 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 clap.
As you make your way down, now the mournful sobbing behind you, serenading your advance. The houses begin to grow in scale and ostentatiousness. Where before they were single-story ramblers, now 2 and 3, until finally you find yourself standing before the Burgermaster's mansion, and I will cue up the reading.
Oh.
A weary-looking mansion squats behind a rusted iron fence. The iron gates are twisted and torn. The right gate lies cast aside, while the left swings lazily in the breeze. The stuttering squeal and clang of the gate repeats with mindless precision. Weeds choke the grounds and press with menace upon the house itself. Yet, against the walls, the growth has been trampled down to create a path all about the domain. Heavy claw markings have stripped the once beautiful finish off the walls. Great black marks tell of the fires that have assailed the mansion. Not a pane nor a shard of glass stands in any window. All the windows are barred with planks, each one marked with stains of evil omen. It is not what it once was. I apologize. However, it is comfortable enough inside. Come.
I'll be walking with him. You need no apology, Burgermaster. These are hard times.
Looks sturdy enough. Good bones.
The Burgermaster leads you forward through the gates and through the large doors that have been torn at and gnawed at, claw and tooth, fang. The interior of the mansion is well furnished, yet the fixtures show signs of great wear. Noticeable oddities are the boarded up windows and the presence of holy symbols in every room. The late Burgermaster is in a side drawing room on the floor, lying in a simple wooden coffin, surrounded by wilting flowers and a faint odor of decay. This mark leads you in through the front entry, where you get a peek at the late Burgermaster in the other room. He calls out, "Irina, darling, we have guests. Come down." And you all wait patiently in the foyer. There, appearing at the top of the steps, a few moments later, a woman of striking beauty with auburn hair. She's dressed finely, though her clothes have clearly been patched and repaired over time. A scarlet scarf covers her slender neck as she descends the steps. She takes in each of you in turn, taking special notice of Tormund and Tados. When her gaze meets yours, Tados, her face betrays only for a moment the fear that undoubtedly pangs within her heart. But then she strengthens herself and composes herself and continues her trek down the stairs to meet you all at the landing. Ismark moves forward, takes his sister's hand, and turns to you all, says, "I present to you Irina Indirovich, my sister, and your charge."
I'll resume that closed fist to the chest and bow like I did for him.
She looks at you with a quizzical look and then shoots her brother like a wry sideways glance, and she says, under her breath, you can all hear her, she says, "Their charge, brother, what do you speak?" And he kind of, like, you see his grip on her hand kind of tighten just a little bit, and he turns and kind of like half says out of the side of his mouth while he's trying to maintain his composure as you introduce yourself in regal fashion, and he just says to her, he says, "Quiet now, Irina, I'll explain." And then we turn to you all as the spotlight swivels around.
Lady Irina, my name is Sir Davish Vestig, and it's an honor.
She curtsies and steps forward and offers out her left hand.
You must pardon me, I'm not acquainted with some fashion and I'll take it and I'll kiss her ring, as I'm sure is the fashion. I hope that was appropriate.
She smiles warmly and she says, appropriate indeed.
I'll step to the
Well-
side.
Welcome to our home, Sir David.
Thank you, ma'am.
Her gaze then falls on the rest of you.
Xavier bows courteously, pulling his arms behind his back. Nice to meet you, madam. As he stands up straight, he flips his hair beautifully behind him.
Alcure will stand tall and straight with his arms crossed and his cloak and hood mostly covering his face. Just observing as he does.
She
I
will
miss
take-
the social cue completely. I hike up my britches and adjust my hammer.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's
Nice.
that's great. She takes you each in turn. Doesn't seem to take notice or doesn't seem to take offense to the various faux pas that occur during these introductions.
Oh, my turn.
Yeah, and then her gaze falls on you. What?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said then her gaze falls
Oh.
on you.
I'm going to walk up to her and smile a toothy smile.
Okay.
My name is Teros. It is a pleasure to be in your company for the time that we will be. And I'm going to lean over and kiss her right cheek, then her left cheek, and the cheek that's further away from her brother.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to very quietly sniff and see if I can smell blood on her.
Okay, make your perception check. She goes pale as you approach her, as you get, as you make the kiss, essentially. She goes pale, but she does not break composure.
To perception?
Breaks out a bit to the sweat. Yeah, you make perception. She just had to make a saving throw and succeeded. That's what I was describing there. Perception of 15. Yeah,
14.
you
Yeah.
14. Yeah, you sniff of her neck and you get a slight tinge of copper.
On my exhale,
Mm-hmm.
I will say to her, we will do what we can to protect you. And I'll step back.
Her eyes are rather wide as Tados steps back, but within a moment she has recomposed herself and she says, I appreciate your help in whatever matter my brother has convinced you to help us in. And she sort of takes a look, sideways glance again at Ismark.
Watching this transpire, Xavier just looks at the situation and smiles broadly. Well, it seems you have a fan, madam.
She looks to you and back to Tados, and you can kind of, anyone who's looking, we could kind of notice that her flesh sort of raises up into goose flesh, but she doesn't seem to make any other notice or any other sort of tell as to her discomfort. And she merely nods and says, "Indeed." She says, "Welcome to our house. I apologize for the state of things. We have been under quite the strained circumstance." You hear her brother say, "Strained," under his breath. That's an understatement. Back to her, she says, Truly, I wish you had arrived but a few nights earlier. Perhaps if you had, our dear father would not have met his end as he did. And she kind of takes a look off in the direction of the coffin in the other room.
I am very sorry to hear of your loss, madam.
I appreciate your concern, Sir Besteg. Are you hungry? She asks the group.
Yes, actually.
Always, somebody threw away my pie, Klug says. And then bows forward and says, and I am Klug, and with a visible shudder says the last name, Shemo. It's a pleasure to meet you.
She says, a lady? Huh. It's wonderful to meet you too, madame.
If she meets my eyes as I awkwardly adjust my attire, well, don't expect me to be kissing any cheeks around here. Never come between me.
She looks you over now, kind of sizing you up, perhaps having underestimated you the first time she laid eyes on you. As she looks down and she says, no, sir, I imagine you couldn't reach. She gives you a little bit of a wry smile as she delivers that.
Oh.
Yeah. When you smile, the whole world smiles with you, lady.
They are a rare breed these days, I must admit. Very well. Come, my friends, let me set the table for you. I must have a word with my brother in private, and I would have you entertained.
We appreciate it.
She leads you into a dining room and begins to bring you out provisions. Old cheese, hard bread, some dates that have a bit of a over-dried consistency to them. She brings them out along with a flagon of wine and some glasses, and she says, under normal circumstances, our staff would cook a feast for such a resplendent group of visitors. However, it is just my brother and I now, and I'm afraid these are all the provisions I can provide. I hope they will suffice.
They will be quite applicable. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, enjoy your meal, guests. My brother and I have business to discuss. We shall return to you within the hour. And you can see Ismark is looking a bit like he's a little sheepish at this point. But that kind of aristocratic sheepish.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Anyhow. And you all are left in this room, 2 rooms over the late senior burgermaster, and you're left to your simple meal for the hour. Did you all want to do anything during that period? As the sun begins to... What sunlight manages to cast its rays in Barovia begins to wink out when the evening comes about.
I'll
I'll go take a look at the Burgermaster.
Okay. You'll take a look at the Burgermaster. So you'll stroll into the other room where the Burgermaster is laid out. You'll see him there. He's in a fine robe, fine pantaloons. He's bedecked in jewelry around his neck, and he's got various rings on. Although there is one digit on his on his hand where you can clearly see there's a worn callus where a ring once was, but has been removed. He otherwise looks uninjured, quiet, a bit bloated, but otherwise could be mistaken for sleeping if someone did not know he was dead or he wasn't in a coffin.
Any marks on his neck?
No marks on his neck.
Hands, wrist? Anything showing like a self-defense or
Yeah,
like he might have had his wrist cut?
he looks unwounded.
Completely unwounded.
He's gaunt. Besides the bloating, you can tell that he was, he probably wasn't eating right. But other than that, he doesn't have any visible wounds. As Teros looks over the body, inspecting the room and its contents, which is that of a normal study, what were the rest of you doing?
Hey, Xavier. Xavier. Hey.
Yes.
I didn't like the... Man, I'm hoarse. I didn't like the sound of that, I forgot what I was going to say.
You just sort of mumble into your food and trail off.
Xavier, that meeting they mentioned, why don't you get lost on the way to the can or something, you know what I mean? Catching my drift?
Oh, you want me to nose?
Only as far as your nose goes.
Understood.
Why are you spying on our esteemed host?
Esteemed
well, the way
or
we were introduced didn't exactly strike me as a comfortable scenario. The lady seemed surprised at her escape, I suppose you could call it.
maybe
I'm
this
not sure what I'm going here. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure of things.
maybe our friend here means
There's
our
a scent
damsel
here.
in distress may not be a damsel at all.
I think she is a damsel. That looked like a damsel to me. Just
In
maybe
distress.
not one in distress. Yes.
I pipe up. I think it's really smart to go off like that. I'll go. I start turning on my heel to walk out the door.
I'm gonna pipe in here.
Let's let the elves handle this one, and I'm gonna hold you back.
And I'll scoff and I'll go, ha,
That
okay.
But
damsel
she
might
likes
not be
me. I'm a
damsel.
girl.
I think it would be ours.
Okay, so I will slowly and stealthily head out the door and make my way to listen in on the discussion.
All right, yeah. So there's some closed office room or some such. There's a closed door down one of the hallways in this mansion, and you can hear through the walls just hushed voices, kind of murmurs and whatnot. And you make your way to the door, following the sounds. Now, go ahead and make me a stealth check as you approach the door, unless you intend to do this in a different way. Now, are you both going together?
I'm holding her back. I'm making sure it's a one-man mission.
Oh, I didn't know if Alkira was also going. I know he's also an elf. That's why that's what I was asking.
Oh yeah.
Go.
Klug
Yeah,
is being
yeah.
distracted by something shiny.
Okay, so y'all can make your stealth roll. You can help each other.
Ooh, with aid. Excellent.
Ooh.
Okay, 19 stealth. Let me roll a couple of quick perception checks. Why are these things dark? Okay, just a second. Okay. And Oh, that's the wrong button. Okay. All right. Wonderful. All right. So you make your way up to the door, and you can hear now the voices inside, and you can make your perception check. You can make your perception check as is, at disadvantage, modified however which way your abilities allow you to modify it, or you can try to crack the door, rolling sleight of hand to try to get a better listen.
Ooh.
It's up to you.
You should have taken the Klug.
I'm gonna use my sleight of hand to crack the door a tiny bit.
Okay. Go ahead and roll sleight of hand. Okay, 17. That's not bad. And we're gonna roll another set of perception checks for the occupants of the room. Okay.
Dodged a bullet there.
All right. Okay. All right. The conversation as you turn the knob and open the door just to crack. You're bracing for a squeaky hinge or a groaning floorboard, but none come, and instead you hear the uninterrupted conversation sort of spilling forth. Now go ahead and roll your perception without disadvantage to see how much of the conversation you're able to pick up here. And either one of the two of you can roll this. Or I guess since there's two of you there, you get the help, right? So you get the advantage. I believe that's how it works. So either one of you can roll.
Oh, inspiration! Inspiration!
You got inspiration? Okay. All right. You want to use it? Go for it.
Yeah.
Please do.
17. Not bad.
17. Yeah, okay. All right, so you're able to pick out most of the words. You hear Irina say, you hear okay, so let's I'm going to do it. This sucks. Doing a two-part conversation is always awkward, but I'm going to do it for you, brother. Here we go. Ismark says, "But Irina, we both not need stay here in Barovia. You must go. It's not safe here for you." And Irina, in response, she says, "Brother, I understand your concern, but my place is here along your side. We must continue to my father's work. The people of Barovia will fall to despair if I am to leave." And Ismark says, "No, sister, you do not understand. Barovia is all but lost. I will remain here, and I alone. You are to travel at first light with these brave adventurers, and you are to make way to Vallaki, where the Baron Vargas Valakovich owes our father a favor. Your respite there will be that favor." And Irina says, "Very well, brother, but I will not go until our father has been properly buried." Ismark says, "Irina, don't be irrational. You must go." "No, brother. Until my father is in the ground and the priest has said the words, I will not leave this cursed land." "Fine, Irina, fine." And then you hear footsteps, angry footsteps coming in your general direction.
I quickly and stealthily retreat back to the room.
All right, make your guys' stealth checks as you maneuver your way back to the rest of the party, trying to slip away undetected.
Sir Davish is enjoying this.
I don't know. I'll get some too later. Thank you, man.
It's already made, but
Oof.
Oh, jeez.
Ah,
Shit. Oh, no.
All right. So Alkir slips nonchalantly back down the hall, quickly disappearing around the corner just as the door opens, and a frustrated Ismark Indirovich bustles his way out into the hall, catching you looking down his direction as you're trying to make your way around the corner at the last second. He catches your eyes, you turn red for just a moment, and then how do you respond?
I start dancing around as if I need to relieve myself and use the restroom, and ask if there is a facility I could use it anywhere, and I will use performance.
He kind of looks at you. He's got an angry expression on his face, and then he stops for a moment, takes a deep breath, and he says, "Of course, my apologies. The laboratory is that way." And he points towards a door.
Thank you so much. And he darts off towards the laboratory.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yes, it's a basic toilet with a pan inside. Mm-hmm.
It's there for enough time to make them believe he's gone and relieved himself.
A moment later, Ismark rejoins the main group. He sits down. He begins having supper, though you could tell that he is distracted and he doesn't seem to be eating with a full heart. However, we're going to pick things up in the study with Tados. As you're looking at the body, kind of puzzled, examining it, you hear Irana. I can't say her name for some reason. You hear Lady Indirovich from behind you say, "His pot went out, I think."
Was there anyone around to see him pass?
I was with him when it happened.
Was there anyone else?
My brother.
And it was the three of you and that's all?
It was. We were taking...
Go ahead, sorry.
She says, we were taking shelter from the nightly attacks on our manor. My father had been falling ill, I believe from the stress.
I really want to be insightful enough to see if I believe what she's saying or if she's leaving something out.
Roll insight. Yeah, she seems to be being completely sincere. You don't detect any falsehood. And she's visibly emotional, though it's clear that she's straining to maintain composure. She's just staring at her father kind of wistfully. She tries to avoid eye contact with you. You can tell. Though she's polite about it. She tries to maintain it while you're talking to her, but she's having a hard time.
Is there anyone else in the room? Is the door open or closed?
The door into the room is open. It's right behind her. She's kind of leaning. She's kind of standing right in front of the door jamb into the room. And then across the hall, you can hear, glasses tinking and whatever conversation may be happening in the other room, though it's muted.
Would you do me a favor?
Depends on the nature of the favor, sir.
Close the door.
She her eyes go wide and her hand kind of comes up to her chest and she says, "Sir, it is not decent for a lady to be alone in a room with a man she does not know."
Your father's here. I'm sure everything is fine.
Roll persuasion. She says, "Sir, I do not mean to be rude, but it is not proper for a lady to be alone with a man behind closed doors. I'm sure you understand."
I do. I was just trying to save you a little bit of face. So whatever it is, so be it. What is it that you don't like about me?
What do you
What is
mean?
it that keeps you so hesitant to be able to treat me like the others?
I know not what you speak. I have not been rude, have I?
At the sight of me, your hesitation, going pale when I draw near, even your very minimal speech to me now. I'm aware. Don't think I'm not. I've been many different places. I've traveled very far. I've seen many things. I've heard many things spoken in different languages. And the body language that you present is far and above something that treats me different than the others.
She takes in your words. You can see she's studying you now. She has caught your eye and she keeps your gaze now, though the strain is clear. And she says, "You wish me to be frank, then?"
That's why I wanted you to close the door so that no one else had to hear what you had to say.
I am not afraid to speak my mind, sir. I only wish
Please.
to be polite to those in
Don't
my
be polite,
service.
be honest.
This land is home to many beasts of evil ilk, sir. And though you resemble a man, you also resemble a beast. And we have a interrupt in, but I'm going to let you sneak in a reply before we turn to that interrupt.
Just because I openly wear my heritage and choose not to hide it so that others can make their decision does not make me any different from those that hide the beast within them.
Okay, interruption?
I'll become is it possible for me to become aware of what is going on?
Absolutely, the doors are all open.
All right, I will have at this point found my way into the hallway and standing behind the lady.
Sure. She turns her head ever so slightly, and you catch just a glimmer of the corner of her eye and the recognition of your presence before she turns back and she says, and she continues speaking. Now she raises her voice a little bit so that she can be heard clearly. And she says, "Sir, I am not one to measure a man by his countenance. However, as I have said before, in these lands, when we interact with a being of your kind, it is almost certainly a situation most dire. I do not mean to be rude, sir, but perhaps you should consider being more discreet about your heritage, whether you are proud of it or not. In these lands, I doubt it will elicit anything other than fear and anger. And here, fear and anger are dangerous."
I already had my plans on what to do with the others. I'm talking about you. we're going to be spending time together. Whether or not you like it, I guess that's entirely your choice. But I wanted to know what it is that you couldn't see past that caused your skin to crawl. You've said your part, and I understand. And I will cast Disguise Self on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I will take better yet, that picture that you put out to us earlier of the Barovians.
Okay.
There's that super tall, lanky guy.
Yep.
And then the guy to the right of him, as you're looking at the picture, with the looks like a spiked leather armor or studded
Yeah,
leather armor.
I see him there.
I'm gonna take his appearance.
Okay. She looks at you.
Sorry.
She looks at you and she curtly nods, and she says, "It's a bit plainer than your natural color, but it will do."
Does this help put you at ease?
She says, "It puts me at ease that we will not be beset upon at every opportunity." Yes, it does.
Well, get used to the face.
She says, "As for the caliber of your character, sir, that'll be for you to prove. I will keep an open mind. That I will promise you."
I'm going to pull out my violin and play a very slow tone, equivalent to what we have for Phantom of the Opera.
Oh.
For her father.
Her eyes go wide, and she kind of like step forward, and it's one of those situations where you can tell that like it's a a heat of the moment sort of situation. She just takes 2 steps across the room towards you, and like just reaches out and touches the wood of the violin. And almost just as quickly as she touches it, she pulls her hand back as if remembering her place, where she is and what she's just done. And she blushes and she says, "I haven't heard music in years." And then she just steps back and sits down in one of the overstuffed chairs facing the fireplace across the coffin of her father, and listens to you play your dirge. She's smiling, and silently tears are rolling down her eyes.
I hear the music.
The rest of you hear the music, yes, exactly.
Xavier gets a little jealous and huff and walks over towards the music, pulls out his flute, jealous that he was not able to insinuate the beginning of the song.
All right, so the first thing you would notice as you come into the room is not Tados holding Tados' violin and playing Tados' violin the way Tados plays his violin. That's the first thing you would encounter. That is odd. And then you would join right in.
I have a card down.
Oh, I don't see it. Oh, sorry, it was low. It was low on my screen.
Oh, my bad.
All right, Seer is that's Tormund. Tormund, what would you like?
Hearing the slow dirges from the other room, the careful Tormund brings out the crest of silver that was so generously given by Sir Davish, and using a mortar and pestle, crushes it into 25 silver worth of powder and begins donning his vestments.
Okay.
Using the power of the slow dirge, he will perform a funeral rite with the ceremony spell.
Oh. Interesting. Okay. I've got Miss down. That's M.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Okay, I just want to take a step back. Was there a? You mentioned he was missing a ring, I believe, the senior.
Yeah.
Okay. So Klug approaches the lady and asks, having been raised by a tinker, is aware of people's hands and of how callous they are, and notices that and goes. She just goes, where is your father's ring?
She says, it is passed with his title to his son.
I got no answer to that. Okay, I just nod and walk away. That I understand that type of inheritance, but I, don't value it very much.
Just check a look at here. Okay. All right. So you come in. You begin to set up to sanctify this body with the funeral rite of ceremony, thereby preserving the sanctity of the corpse. What do you do, sir?
Crushing the powder, I carefully rub the dead's hands with the powder, and I cross them across his chest, and I hum with the music in a low dwarven chant. And then I say, may you bring honor to your ancestors and to your family. And in your passing, honor to those you have brought into the world and those you have left behind.
And as you begin your rite, now the entire household in this one room watching on as things develop. Ismark begins to move forward in protest as you approach his dead father. But you see out of the corner of your eye, Iriana stop him with a look and a grasp on his shoulder. And she nods in your general direction as you begin your ceremony in gratitude.
And we play for the next hour. And as we play, I circle the body periodically, rubbing silver powder into the casing of the coffin and making sure to cover all the fabrics with a fine dusting, and finally sealing the lid at the end.
And as the hour comes to an end and the music dies back down, the sound is replaced with the baying of wolves from all around the house. You can hear them now. Iriana and Ismark clearly are not surprised by the sound, though they each flinch as the music dies down and the howls resound through the house. that, you can hear a large thud on the front door. The two of them sort of flinch again a little bit, but look towards each other, taking strength in each other's gazes. Iriana comes to your side now and says, "Thank you, Sir Dwarf. The ceremony was beautiful. I would ask that you lead the funeral procession in the morning.
Of course.
We will bury my father before I leave with you, or I will leave not."
An excellent idea. I would be honored.
You can hear strange moaning sounds now coming through the cracks in the boarded up glassless windows. It's kind of like a cacophony of moans and baying wolves, the wolves circling all the while. Every now and then, something throws itself hard against one of the boarded up windows or against the door. How do you all pass the time as the evening darkness settles in over the mansion that you're taking up residence in?
Oh,
Beautiful rest.
yeah.
I'm gonna stare at Zephyr.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a long rest, actually.
All right. So you guys will rest the night?
Yeah.
Yes.
You'll see
So,
Sir Davish kind of kicked back in a very comfy armchair, tending to a broken sword as he rests for the night.
Ismark, before retiring himself for the evening, addresses the party in the study one last time. He says, "My newfound friends, I once again thank you for taking up our cause. Do not worry, this house has held night in and night out for many a week now. Whatever it is that thrashes about outside, it dare not enter. Perhaps it is with the will of the demon himself that makes this so. I know not. Rest well, for in the morning we shall bury my father. Your aid in that endeavor would be much appreciated, for we are short on pallbearers."
Of course.
Before
Very
you
well.
rest. Sorry.
Go ahead. Klug.
So Klug stands up from the floor and goes, "Before you retire, we never asked, where has your sister been attacked? Where has she been?" I asked because if it is in her home, I offer myself as another lady to be her guard.
He says, "The first..."
This idea clearly fills Klug with a sense of importance.
Yes. He says, "The first of the two attacks took place on the road as my sister was returning from Vallaki. The second here in our home. It would allow me a moment of respite, I believe, if you would watch over her in my stead this evening, milady."
I get up with a smile and say, it would be my honor. And as I get up to walk past, you can see me just kind of pat where different weapons are and flex them a little bit, and maybe just rub a little coin in my pocket. You can't tell.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Are you going to go stand guard at outside her bedroom door, or are you going to go in?
I will knock on the door and let her know my presence, and basically post myself where she wishes.
Okay. Yeah. She'll confuse you for her brother upon you first knocking, but then after a bit of an awkward and embarrassed exchange, she will of course let you, her new lady friend, in. She'll ask you all kinds of questions about how you came to be who you are, and she's very fascinated by all your equipment. So she will allow you to regale her with all kinds of tales.
Which just makes Klug's night, because this is fantastic. This is what I wanted when I, chose to be an adventurer, not a tinker, was to, have this recognition and glory. So this is great.
You can tell, she's really interested in it in the sense, of someone who, wants to be a part of shit. You know what I mean? She's, she's got a little fan. That's great. Cool. Oh, poor Xavier, the only one fanless.
I want to be famous. I think I might go as the only unfamous bard who actually doesn't really do much for performance.
That's right. That's right.
Otherwise, as promised, the doors and the windows do somehow, by some miracle or otherwise, hold throughout the night, and you all are able to take your long rest before the dawn comes. In the morning, we'll pass to the morning. We'll pass to, first light, essentially. As that first bit of gloom starts to penetrate the cracks between the boards and the windows, the baying of wolves and the shuffling and groaning from just outside of the house vanishes. And once again, you're left with only the sound of your own breathing and the creaking of boards as people begin to wake up around the mansion and make their way down to the common areas for breakfast and a morning meeting. Iriana and Ismark already up and about. Iriana setting herself to the task of preparing a meager morning meal. Ismark tending to the preparations to move his father. He's nailing in the lid to the coffin.
I'll assist him with that task.
Silence. In silence?
I'll come up in silence and assist him with that task.
Okay. And you will do that. And it's a somber moment of bonding between the two of you as it occurs. Just the rhythmic tapping of nails. And then Iriana calls for breakfast, and the two siblings assemble at the table alongside anyone else who would like to join for breakfast.
Xavier's just staying back, trying to primp his hair up and getting ready for breakfast, taking way too long.
I will, of course, join for breakfast.
I scamper past, maybe a little too eager and clumsily for a meal, and probably was already pretty close to the kitchen after staying with the lady on anyways.
Mm-hmm. Right on. So, those of you who do gather around the table would be greeted with a bit of small talk from the two. Any questions for any of them before they might bring a thing up or two of their own?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, late last night as I was hearing and thinking of all of these lovely things that were attempting to come in through the windows and the walls. Something you made comment of during our toasting last evening was what you knew about Strahd.
Indeed, Bismarck replies. Did you need further clarification on a point?
Yes. How was it that he got into this house to attack her?
Says that has been a mystery that I have pondered myself, friend. The legends say that no vampire can enter a dwelling without first being invited. And neither Iriana nor my late father would do such a thing. So I know not the truth of this matter, sir.
Ariana, when that happened, do you recall everything that occurred?
She looks up and she says, she kind of like absent-mindedly brings her hand up and kind of brushes it across the side of the scarf covering her neck, and then meets your gaze. She says, I'm afraid the events surrounding the attacks are a bit muddled. I recall traveling, and then I was here. And I recall going to bed the evening before, and then I woke up sometime in the afternoon the next day. I remember not what happened in between, I'm afraid.
So it sounds as though he has some kind of power of suggestion where he could have encouraged or forced her to invite him in. That's my guess, at least.
Ismark looks to you and points at you, and he says, "That very well could be true, sir. I've heard of the vampire's charm, though I have not been directly affected by it myself."
I'll chime in and say, pray that you never do.
Says, I do say such a prayer to the morning Lord on every waking day, good sir.
Something for us to keep in mind as we travel, that's all.
Good information.
Very well. Very good indeed, yes. Irina at this point changes the subject. She says, I just want to thank you all so very much for helping us put our father to rest.
Of course.
It has been a long time since a funeral rite was performed in Barovia. I would have it done right.
Any particular reason why it's been so long?
She kind of turns to her brother, and he remarks, poor Irina has not been able to leave the house in many months. However, the state of things in the village have, over the course of the last year, deteriorated significantly. Unfortunately, our priest has not tended to his flock in quite some time. However, today, if he knows what is good for him, he will do his duty. He has a sort of sternness to him as he says that.
Will you introduce me to your priest?
Of course, we go there after breakfast.
Thank you.
And then on to Vallaki. Well, for you, my dear Irina. And she turns to look at him and kind of has this sad look on her face. Anything else before we pass to the funeral procession?
Nope.
I think I'm good.
Okay. After breakfast, Irina returns to her room to don her black, as does Ismark. They return some 15-20 minutes later, having given you all the time to prepare yourselves for renewing your journey further into the lands of Barovia. I know it's a little confusing having a village and lands, both mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyhow. And you're all waiting around in the main foyer when the two of them descend the stairs, looking quite the pair. Irina in a long black gown with a black veil, and her brother wearing a long black robe over a black brocade vest and black slacks, black boots. They look quite striking together as they descend the steps. They come to the bottom, and Irina looks to you. Sorry, Tormund. Let's get into that hour. Irina looks to you, Tormund, and says, Sir Dwarf, Priest of Talos, are you ready?
Indeed, I am.
Assemble your pallbearers, sir. We shall leave at once.
Right away.
Of course.
Ismark.
Agree. Get these corners, and I'll take this one.
Yeah, Ismark comes to take his place at the upper right-hand corner, and the rest of you can take up your post as you please. Irina opens the door and steps aside, and you all silently walk your way through the sullen cobbled streets of Barovia. To the north, past the wailing cries of the forlorn house of Mad Mary, into the town square and north by northwest, until you see an old steeple rising up ahead of you out of the mists. And as you move forward, you can now see clearly the massive structure of Castle Ravenloft atop of Pillar Stone, the town of Barovia in its shadow. All right, I'm going to pull up my next handout or my next thing here. Just give me one second.
No worries.
Side note, as when we were all getting ready, used
Sure
my
thing.
kit to be able to give myself a more relatively permanent look without having to cast Disguise Self.
Okay, you're
And
going to go with it. You're going to do what?
I'm going to use my Disguise kit
Mm-hmm.
to go through and put makeup on to be able to tone down my skin pallor and be able to do my hair in a way to be able to not make it look quite so suspicious. And I'm going to have a robe on up over my, coming up over on down to my forehead to hide my horns.
All right, sweet.
So Klug grew up with a family of tinkers and is very good with her hands and offers to do some braiding and tucking of loose ends to help with the appearance.
Oh, wonderful. If you accept her help, you can roll with advantage. And I'll need you to go ahead and roll those tools, please.
All right, what am I rolling exactly?
It's him,
Oh, me. Okay, him.
Tados. He'll roll... With tools, it's your proficiency bonus if you're proficient with it. That's how it works.
Negative. I just have what came in the kit.
Disguise kit?
The Traveler's Clothes and Disguise kit, yeah.
Yeah, do you have proficiency with the disguise kit?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, just roll it. Straight 20 with advantage then.
how to do that from the character sheet. Or can I? I can't.
I'll just roll a d20. Roll 2 d20s. Just roll 2 d20s.
Okay, well there you go.
Oh!
I'd say that,
Damn.
that worked really well.
Looking
I think I like it.
superhuman. Looking superhuman, and you're still handsome. You don't lose. You don't lose your charm.
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute, I have a problem with that. You know, Javier has a problem with.
Oh
Of
yeah,
course
when
he
he
does.
comes,
Javier has lots of problems. But
dude,
we
when
won't-
he comes out, when he gets off the vanity and comes out, Xavier, make me a wisdom saving throw.
Right.
Oh no.
Oh!
Mm.
Oh, Xavier, you feel threatened by his beauty and are jealous.
As he should be.
God damn.
He's not only is he getting more attention from Klug now than you, he's also just as pretty, if not prettier.
Javier sees this as a challenge and sways his hair back behind his head, walking out gloriously and doing a front flip.
All right, do your performance check. See if you can regain your honor.
I'm going to, as he's doing his front flip, I'm going to laugh and snark at him. And I'm going to use cutting words.
Oh God!
Nice.
Oh,
Bard fight.
PvP Bard fight!
Bard fight.
I'm going to say, you really can't measure up. You need to stop.
Oh God, I love this flashback. We're having a flashback from a fucking funeral procession to 2 bards bitch fighting. All right, what's the spell do? Does he get a saving throw or anything?
No, I subtract my bardic inspiration die throw from his roll.
Oh God! All right, so roll it. Oh, you've already got a 9 performance.
Oh my God!
Deduction. What's the deduction that you're gonna put on that 9?
It's a D6, I believe, for the bardic inspiration.
Roll a D6 then.
Oh boy.
Come on, 6.
Oh!
Snap.
All right, James. I want you to hose your character. I want you to hose your character for us.
Right
I'm
into
gonna
the
let
mud.
you decide how the hosing happens, but go ahead and tell us how this goes. You horribly failed. You can do it.
I gotta compose myself here.
But we're not.
As he attempts to do his front flip, he steps on his own foot, pulling up a little bit, ending up face planting into the dirt.
Ooh, his face. But how's his hair?
All right,
It's fine.
awesome. And we're gonna fade to black right there. That's great. Fantastic.